take a look at what I'm working on right now. And that is making the sprite sheet for the first boss of the game, because I want it to be primarily a boss rush, and yes, that one is just not done, because I all of a sudden remembered, because I keep getting sidetracked, that I need to try to get this devlog out. Essentially, this is the first boss of the game, and what I've envisioned is it's just some sort of armored knight, like Imagine Souls inspired art, and with like two like chained whips, but they're like heated. That's why they're red in this, because I can't do any more than 8-bit. And this is the idle animation. It probably looks scuffed as heck right now, because it's literally just him going bobbing up and down like the player. But then this is the first attack. I haven't finished it. It'll probably be 4. Why did that happen? Oh, that's the other one. That's the other one. So essentially, this is the first attack. Raises this arm a bit, raises it more, the whip starts going up a bit, and then the last one will be up here, and the whip starts flying back, and the last one, it's behind, and it'll snap forward. I'll probably release a video of my first game, but this is kind of a way to document kind of how trash I am at coding now, and maybe perhaps I will get somewhat decent at some point. It would be real crazy if that was happening. But I know how to code most of this just off the top of my head. The things I don't know how to code is the camera boundaries, that I don't even think is working right now, because it was, and it was really cool, but I don't think it is anymore. So basically, what I understand when doing devlog, and I'm hoping this video is more successful than my other videos that were really stupid and were really just for fun. This is more of a video I'd like to take seriously. Like, it's still fun. I'm doing video games, like, really, yeah. But I would love to actually get somewhere with this and not get sidetracked and do something else. Like, I've been really trying not to focus on doing the art of the game. I just want to do gameplay and code, that kind of stuff. From what I understand when coding a game, and literally the best tutorials out there were just essentially saying, when coding a game, you literally just search up everything you need to time and it'll come to you. And while at first I was like, well, then I'm not going to run anything, I'm just copying other people's codes and mashing it together, it does kind of work itself out. And now that I'm at the place, like you have to think about it. You can't just copy down the stuff. You have to, essentially what I try to do is pause the video, whatever I'm looking at, and like start coding ahead of them until I realized, wait, that doesn't work. Let me put in there what they're doing, and then kind of compare the two. When coding a game, it's literally just do everything bit by bit till it comes together, and try to code everything yourself, even if it's scuffed, because that's what I've been figuring out. I just had to redo that entire combat system. Like when I was showing you that animation that took 2 days, it only took 2 days because like you see the little red blood slash thing. That was initially the attacks. Basically, here I will show you what I mean by that. Is initially I was trying to test out making the boss, and I had the boss there. See that red slash? That's what the boss did. But you see how like buggy it is? Basically, what was wrong with that is I made the attack a separate object, which you do anyways, but not like that. You could definitely do particle effect and stuff, and I'm sure this works to an extent. But what I kept having to do, because all it did was it enabled it and disabled it, but there was no time, there was no like animation that played during that, and because of that it just lasted forever, or it didn't last at all. So then I had weird time integers in between where it's like last 1 second and then disappear after 1 second, and then it would just bug out in a weird loop. So just know that does not work at all. Other roadblocks with, like, for example, the enemy down there, I still don't know why it's not taking damage, but when I was also trying to do that hitbox thing, what it kept doing is it would bug out and stop following me, because that's something I wanted to do. I needed just a simple enemy that would follow you, and because of how I had it set up, it would just freeze until you exited and re-entered. There's also just stupid problems that I end up having, like, well, that enemy, the little follow barrier that's around it, that's a trigger. And the problem with that is that was considered a hitbox, and that it would trigger other things by hitting it. So that's kind of where I'm at. There's not a lot to show. There's barely a menu. All it is a retry in case if I want to try to show something off and I die, and then I don't have to reboot up everything. I will have a short snippet at the end kind of showing the game's progress until it gets to the size where I can't really do that. This is more of documentation of my learning of code rather than my progress on this game. Would love to hear feedback, because right now I feel like it's kind of messed. If people have any sort of tips, suggestions on anything, like if like any tips on how to do any sort of decent pixeled sprites, or how to do a better combat system, how to, for example, like what I'm going to probably do right after this video or pretty soon after is I need to figure out how you do phases of a boss. And essentially what I know so far is you basically give them a life counter and dock points away for every time you hit them, but then when you get to a certain amount, which it'll read in the code, it transfers it to a different attack cycle. But how do I do where it does a certain number of attacks randomly or depending on how close you are? And that's very complex, like computer generated AI stuff that's like in modern day games. That's some tricky stuff. And I'm also doing a 2D game, and that makes it even more difficult, because I want to make a 2D game, but essentially I'm trying to make a game that's as complex as Dark Souls games, like their combat in those games. Because that's what I'm aiming to do. I want a very in-depth combat system. But at the same time, there are limitations because I'm one person. So far, I only have 2 other people, which I don't know how far they'll get with it. I have someone hopefully will make pixel sprites, but they have another job and stuff, so they're not going to probably have a ton of time. And then someone working on the music. Music is one of my last concerns. That definitely provides a great mood and atmosphere to games, but I wouldn't say it's make it or break it, considering I play most of my games muted. But I don't know, we'll see. I'll update this probably in a week or so, because it'll probably take me a month to edit anyways. So yeah, I guess I'll see you when there's any other things to update.